What if I told you that the biggest driver of your anxiety, of your procrastination, isn't your to-do list or even your phone, but it's actually this deep, deep fear of being alone?
Yeah, that's it. That constant urge to fill every single second with noise.
Exactly. Scrolling, talking, Netflix, whatever. Anything to avoid just sitting in that empty space.
And, our source material today argues that this is precisely what blocks us from our own strengths. It makes the case that solitude isn't some kind of punishment, it's a path.
A path to what, though?
It's the environment you need to build clarity, to sharpen your intuition, and this is a direct quote, to literally rewire your brain and your entire nervous system away from needing everyone else.
Okay, that is a huge promise, because I think for most people, alone just means lonely. So our mission for this deep dive feels pretty critical then. We need to unpack the intelligence of intentional silence and draw a really, really clear line between loneliness and productive solitude.
That distinction is everything. It's the entire foundation, because they are polar opposites, even if they look the same on the outside. Loneliness, as it's defined here, is rooted in scarcity.
Scarcity. Okay, what does that feel like? I mean, what's the internal monologue of loneliness?
It's that feeling of emptiness, of being disconnected. It's the voice in your head saying, I'm not seen, or I'm not loved.
Or worse, there must be something wrong with me.
Exactly. That's the deepest one. It's this belief that you're only valuable if other people accept you. It's a void you're waiting for someone else to fill.
And there's a reason that panic feels so real, right? I mean, the sources bring up our history.
Yeah, 100,000 years ago, our ancestors were in tribes. If you got cast out, it was, and I quote, 100% death.
So that need for the tribe, for acceptance, it's literally built into us.
It is. It's genetic. So when you feel lonely, that ancient evolutionary panic button just gets slammed and you feel fundamentally unsafe.
So then, how is choosing solitude any different? You're still physically by yourself.
It's all about the choice. Solitude is defined as a conscious decision, an act of self-reliance. It's taking time to connect with, and this is another great quote, the person who matters most in my life, me.
So the internal feeling just completely flips.
Completely. It goes from I'm not enough to I'm safe, I'm grounded, I am whole.
And that's the mindset shift. It's not that you don't want to be around people, but you don't need them to feel okay. You're the one who fills your own cup.
Right. The analogy they use is just perfect. Loneliness is feeling like you've been cut off from the tribe's power source.
And solitude.
Solitude is feeling like you were plugged directly into your own internal power grid.
I love that. And if you never plug in, you're just constantly leaking energy to everyone and everything else.
You're giving away your power. And what's fascinating here is how much personal authority you gain just by protecting that internal charge. Solitude is the charging station.
Okay, so we're protecting our energy. We stop the noise, the scrolling, the busy work. What actually happens in that silence? What do we find?
Your own voice gets louder. I mean, that is the most important thing that can happen. Because the silence lets you understand the difference between knowing yourself and learning yourself.
Wait, hold on. Knowing yourself versus learning yourself, that feels huge. Can you break that down?
Sure. Knowing yourself is all past tense. It's your resume, your labels, the stories you've always told yourself. It's static.
Oh.
But learning yourself, that can only happen in the present moment when you're quiet. That's where you see your patterns as they are right now. It's where you identify the old trauma or beliefs that need healing today.
It sounds like silence is a sort of truth serum.
It really is. Because your intuition, your soul, the source material says it beautifully. It says they whisper, they don't scream.
And you can't hear a whisper in a hurricane of noise.
Never. That whisper is your personal compass. If your life is just constant stimulation, you miss all those little nudges, The ones that say, maybe go this way, or, hey, this person isn't right for you.
So the outcomes are pretty clear then. Intuition gets sharper, patterns become obvious, you start healing because you finally stopped running.
And that's where real personal power comes from. And this isn't just some feel-good idea. There's research that actually confirms this stuff.
Right. Let's get into the science that backs this up. I was looking at a 2017 study. It was in the Personality and Social Psychology Review. It looked at people who really embrace solitude.
And what did they find?
3 specific skill boosts. 1, greater creativity. 2, stronger emotional regulation. And 3, much higher self-reflection skills.
And neurologically, there's a reason for that. Solitude activates the brain's default mode network, the DMN.
The DMN, okay.
Yeah, that's the part of your brain tied to introspection, to insight. When it gets activated, it lets you step back and see your life from an outsider's perspective.
That third-person view, which is almost impossible to get when you're just stuck in the problem day to day.
Exactly. You can't solve the puzzle from inside the puzzle.
And what's really interesting is that the research is specific about how to be alone. Dr. Nguyen at Durham University found that time alone without distractions, and that's the key. No phone, no TV. It does 3 things most of us are desperate for.
Let me guess. Reduces stress.
Yep. Reduces stress, enhances focus, and supports mental clarity.
The building blocks for a centered life. And that's the core argument here, isn't it? The most powerful, centered people are almost always the ones who are genuinely okay with being alone.
They don't need the external validation.
Not at all. They've built themselves up from the inside. They live by their own expectations, not what everyone else is telling them.
Which brings us to the big uncomfortable question. If this is all so good for us, why do we run from it?
Well, there's a quote from Paulo that just cuts right to it. If you are never alone, you cannot know yourself.
Wow.
If silence terrifies you, if you always have to be busy, the sources argue that's not a personality quirk. It's not just being an extrovert. It's avoidance. It's unprocessed pain in disguise.
So all the busyness, all the noise, is really just us trying to outrun ourselves.
Absolutely. And that is why the sources are so dismissive of, life hacks and productivity tricks. They say real progress isn't about hacks. It's about healing.
And they have a pretty brutal analogy for that, don't they?
They do. They say that finding a life hack instead of doing the real work is like spraying perfume on a turd.
That's vivid.
Yeah.
So you're saying any attempt at self-improvement that isn't about healing is just surface level.
That's the severity of the claim, yeah. You can make the room smell better for a minute, feel productive, but the mess is still there. Silence is where you actually go in and clean up the turds on the floor. You process the old stuff so it stops running your life.
And you don't have to become a monk to do it. This is about intentional solitude.
Exactly. It's about deciding to claim your energy back. And the sources give us a really clear prescription for that, broken down into mind, body, and spirit.
Okay, so for the mind, what should you be doing in that silence?
Journaling. Asking yourself the tough questions, challenging your beliefs. And just think, you have 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them are the same ones as yesterday. Solitude is your chance to break that loop.
And for the body?
Move in silence. Dance, do yoga, walk, stretch, whatever. But with no music, no podcast, no TV, just you and your body. Practice intentional breathing. Feel where you hold stress, and then learn how to let it go.
Okay, and finally, spirit.
This is about connection. Could be meditation, prayer, connecting to nature, whatever works for you. The point is, you are your own guru. The answers are already inside you. You just have to get quiet enough to hear them.
This all leads to what the source material calls the ultimate test of security.
Yeah.
It basically asks, if you constantly need people around to feel safe, if you get anxious by yourself, you might be externally dependent. Doesn't matter if you call yourself an extrovert.
And the quote they use for that is designed to hit home. All of man's problems come from his inability to sit in a room by himself. Yeah. The most secure people are okay in the silence because they've already faced their own shadow. They've done the work. They don't need company to feel whole.
So to make this real for you, the listener, the sources issue a direct challenge. It's called the 30-minute challenge.
It's simple. Spend 30 minutes alone every day. No phone, no TV, no distractions. You can sit, you can journal, you can walk, you can literally stare at a wall.
And the point isn't to feel good immediately.
Not at all. The goal is to notice the discomfort when it comes up, notice the anxiety, and just witness it. Don't judge it. Reframe the time as relaxation or self-care, and just let the silence show you what's really there.
That is a powerful invitation. So solitude isn't a punishment, it's a privilege. It's the time you take to come home to myself and get back in touch with that inner compass.
Exactly. And the key takeaway for me is that constantly needing other people can actually be a sign of deep insecurity. True security is knowing you're okay, even when no one else is around.
So here's the provocative thought for you to take with you. If intentional solitude requires facing the pain or trauma we're always running from, what specific comfort, what distraction are you most afraid of giving up, and what truth about yourself are you worried that silence will finally expose?